Hey, this is Key Creative Studio, Master Drawing Japan. Let's make a point to draw every day. Um, I wanted to talk about uh, uh, having like clear silhouettes in your drawings. I came across this image on the uh, on the internet not so long ago, and it's a really it's a nice drawing. It's a very clean, very tight drawing. It's cute and everything. Yeah, it has it's appealing. The I had a problem because as a rule, um, this is not the best way um, to place a figure. You know, if you want to establish some sort of pose. Um, the problem is like, and actually, like when I have my drawing classes, I always try to tell my models, please make sure that you make your you make your body into a clear pose, meaning try not to like have like your hands like directly in front of your body. Like try to spread out your arms so that way we can see a clear silhouette. So there's a principle in animation which they call like clear silhouettes, and I'll show you some examples in a second. But generally, what we want to avoid is having like parts of the body like directly in front, because um, even though like this is a cute picture, to be honest, all this information that's happening in here is a little bit busy. And if I was like to look at it from far away, it's not going to be that clear. So they have like this test, so to speak, of like where you can black out the image, the figure. So, for example, if I put it all in black, we have like no idea of like what's happening here, right? We have no idea. This could be a woman holding holding a vase or something like that. We have no idea, or maybe um, who knows? We have no idea like her where her arms actually are. Maybe both her arms are up. Who knows? So there's the similar problem with this other drawing here. I'm sorry, with this drawing here. Whereas, oops, let me do that again. Okay, so if we were to make a silhouette of this, again, it's the same. It's just a black blob, and we have like no idea. So generally in animation, what they try to do, they try to pose a figure in a way that the action is seen very very clearly. Um, oops, I'll come back to this in a second. So this is uh, a a tip sheet that's been like floating around in the um, animation circles for the longest time. But this is nothing particularly new. If you've read anything about animation, which is always aim for like clear silhouettes in your drawing. Um, Actually, I think that might be like one of the principles of animation from Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson. So so this is the same problem here as this picture here, right? Which is like you have a nice drawing, it's some character eating an ice cream cone, but if we were to like black that out, we're gonna see some image like that, and again, we have no idea. We know it's some kind of character, but we don't really know what he's doing. But here, it's very clear in terms of like what he's doing, right? Um, this this drawing, these two drawings here, right? Um, this one is a good one, but unfortunately, like things are getting lost in this one, right? Um, this drawing of the little girl. No, I know what movie this is from. I know this is from the Aristocats, not the Aristocats, excuse me, the Rescuers. And the character Penny, has like a teddy bear with her all the times, and she has like this cat. But again, we everything is kind of like running into each other, right? I don't know where the cat is ending. Like, is this the cat, or not, you know? So, unless, I actually knew like what the actual story is, it would be a little bit hard for me to discern like what's happening. The reason why making like clear silhouettes is important because like you want your audience to be able to see very clearly. It's almost like an icon. Like if you had the image and like you shrunk it down and you looked at it from across the room, you would know exactly what was happening. Okay. So that being said, I do agree with this this point here, which is that look, this drawing it's not a bad drawing per se, but it's not the drawing that you want to sell the story. It says here, like, yeah, here in B, it works very well as an in between. So, for example, like if the character was like moving and like transitioning into this pose, right? If he was like moving into that, um, that will be okay. That's fine. As an in between or breakdown drawing, but not as like not as the drawing that is going to sell your story. Okay. So going back to our cute girl here. Okay. So again, as and don't get me wrong. I'm not I'm not throwing any shade at this artist, whoever this, and apologies to the artist because it is a very good drawing. It's a very solid drawing. It's the kind of thing you'll see in some, I don't know, in some anime um, advertisement or something like that. There's nothing wrong with it um, in that regard. But the problem is that it doesn't read very well. Actually, I'll show you one other thing before I show you my example. Like in the histogram here, right? So in the histogram, sorry, not the histogram, in the navigator, excuse me. In the navigator, it's difficult to see, what exactly is happening. I can tell that it's a female, but a female doing what? Like what is she doing? With that other hand, right? Um, and the top one we can see what's happening a little bit clearly because of we have elements of color in there. But here in the lower one, um, I have no idea what's happening. It's way too um, uh, it's way too unclear in terms of like what is actually happening here. So I'll just give you my quick example for what it's worth. Okay, so the thing I tried to tell my students is like try not to get too um, enamored like with the cuteness of the face and stuff like that. That is not really like what the story is all about. The story is really like um, what the person is doing, like what is the gesture. Um, okay, so I have some female here. Okay, bear in mind, I'm not setting out to copy this drawing here. I'm sorry, this photograph. Um, I'm basically just trying to show, like, what this whole thing is all about. What is the pose about? Okay, so instead of like having the hand like right in front of her face like that, what I would do, I would do something like that. To offset it. See, already here, we can see a little bit more clearly what's happening. Like we have, you know, this hand, away from the body. So we obviously, we can read that a little bit better. Okay. Okay. So here's our female, or just my version of this female. Arm here, other arm, hands, okay, and shoulder. So all I'm gonna do here is essentially I'm gonna overlap these things, so that way we can read it a little bit better. Better known as foreshortening, right? See already. See, can so look at the navigator here. Okay. So which one of these can we read the easiest, right? Um, not to stroke myself, but and of course my drawing is the biggest one, but still it's very clear to see like what's happening here. Again, the second one kind of works, um, but still don't know what's happening like with that hand. Again, the worst one is this one down here. Okay, in terms of readability. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna try to compete with this guy's whoever did this drawing. And again, apologies to them. I think it's a very fine drawing. But um, so I'm not gonna try to outdo um, the appeal of the original drawing. I think the person did a really fine job, actually. So I'd say no, I don't particularly draw like him. Um, and even though I've been living in Japan for a very long time, I've gone out of my way not not to draw anything like that resembles anime or manga. I have my reasons. not overwork it. I just wanted to give you guys oops, an idea of um, what's happening. Again, the story is not what's happening in her face. The story is about what's happening in the gesture, and that's what people are really going to remember. Really, to be honest, they're not going to remember um, the cute face there. Unfortunately, they're a dime a dozen. Okay, all right. The egg. All right, let me stop noodling with this damn thing. Okay. All right. I think we got the basic idea. I'm sorry, it's not cute, but it's it's not cute, but it's clear. All right. So basically, this version that I've done here, um, I think it's very easy to see like what's happening here as compared to um, what's happening everywhere else. Again, look at the navigator. Okay, I know. I think that really um, 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 explains my point. Okay, so like what makes this drawing work? It's again, it's definitely not the cute face, because the face is it's not all that cute. um, but but the gesture is very clear. You know, and I don't even have to like finish what's happening with her hands per se, because um, again, the silhouette is very clear. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind also, like when you're drawing hands, even though you should know how to draw your hands properly. Um, you don't have to really worry so much about the details of the hands, as long as like you have like a very clear gesture, or a clear silhouette, just like what's happening, because that is what people are going to read. I'm going to try something. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a select, because there's a lot of line work in here. I don't know if it's going to let me do it or not. Uh, Maybe not, because there's too much line work in here. And, but I'm gonna stick by looking at the histogram here. That is a very clear, um, very clear pose there. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna leave it to you guys to try it for yourselves. When um, again, when you draw your figures, always try to make sure um, try to make sure um, that the figures are clear, right? Always aim for a clear silhouette, because that's what's going to read and like resonate, with your audience. Um, Again, it's not the yeah. Excuse me, can't help noodling with this damn drawing. Um, that's basically that's what your audience is going to remember. Okay, that's better. That was just drawing too small. That's the problem when you draw digital. Sometimes you have sometimes like too many options actually. And it's like less is more. Yeah, so if I was drawing this in pencil, everything, it would be a little bit more um, unified, so to speak. Uh, as the saying goes, the more the more diverse an entity becomes, the more chaotic it becomes. So that's something to think about in terms of your design. You know, you want to try to keep things as unified as possible, so that it reads clearly. Sometimes too much excessive information, can be interesting for a little while, but at some point, you want to know like what the things mean. What is the whole thing about. Okay. All right. I guess that's gonna have to do for now. Okay. All right. Again, that is not the most important part of this drawing. The most important part is the gesture. Make this head just a little bit bigger. There we go. There we go. Okay. I hope that was a little helpful for you guys. Again, always try to make sure, when you draw, you know, aim to make the poses very clear, so that someone from very far away can see, what it's all about, what your drawing is all about. Again, if I made it this small, you can still read what's happening. I don't know what's I don't know what's happening in here. It's right, to see what's excuse me. Yeah. yeah, to see like what's going on in this drawing. I have no idea. This one is kind of okay, but this one probably reads the best out of all of them. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind in the future. Okay. Okay, I hope that was a little bit helpful, and if this was if you, helpful for you guys, if it was interesting, please leave me a comment. Um, give me like, subscribe, all that stuff. If there's something there's something in particular you want to see. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Okay. Um, I'll be happy um, to see what I can do. Okay. So all right. I'm gonna stop there, and I will see you guys. Uh, See you guys next time. Okay. All right. All right. Take care. All right. All right. Bye bye.